Yen Yi died 3 years after the destruction of Prince Jin's mansion. If there is a next life, I will definitely advise my master not to believe that shameless man, King Jin. She closed her eyes helplessly. Yen Yi, he was practicing this, but why did he suddenly fall down? What's going on? She seems to have heard the waiter's voice. Aren't everyone dead? They all died at the hands of that scumbag, King Jin. Yen Yi, please wake up. Yen Er was still shouting in his ears. Okay, so noisy. This Yen Er will not let me live in peace even if he dies. Yen Er, stop making noise. Yen Yi couldn't help but yelled. Huh? How could she speak out? Could it be? Yen Yi opened her eyes suddenly, and after sitting up, she realized that she was actually in the martial arts arena of Prince Jin's mansion. Prince Jin's mansion. It's been such a long time since the death of their master. The secret guards trained by their master have been sent out to perform tasks by Prince Jin for various reasons, and they have died outside one after another. As one of the master's most effective secret guards, she was also sentenced to death for dereliction of duty not long ago. However, wasn't her voice muted by King Jin's poison not long after her master passed away? What on earth is going on? Can a person regain his voice and see familiar places when he reaches the underworld? What about the master? Yen Yi couldn't help but look around. When he raised his eyes, he saw Yen Er standing not far away with a hesitant look on his face. She motioned for Yen Er to come over with her eyes. Yen Yi, have you finally seen me? Yen Er's expression was a little hard to explain. In his opinion, Yen Yi seemed to be different today, as if he had been stimulated by something. He was so irritable and so mean to her. Yen Er, master, are you at the house? She hadn't seen her master for a long time. Huh? Yes. Isn't the master always in the house? Ja, ne, was stimmt. The master is Princess Jin. So, how could she not be in the house? Yen Yi, what's wrong with you? Could it be that you were knocked unconscious by the fall just now? I'm going to ask to see the master. Yen stood up immediately after hearing this. Seeing that Yen Yi was about to leave, Yen Er hurriedly said, Huh? Uh-huh. Yen Yi, what are you doing? Only the leader can go see the master without communication. We can't. Huh? Am I not the leader? If you want to go, you have to report to Ling Sen no matter what. You can only go to the inner courtyard after getting the token. Yen Er couldn't understand Yen Yi's behavior for a long time. What happened to her? Ling San? Isn't he already dead? Where is this place? Is it still the Prince Jin's mansion that she is familiar with? Yen Er, I want to ask you something. Yen Yi turned around and grabbed Yen Er. What time is it now? Tianfeng has been here for 8 years. I'm afraid he really broke his brain, Yen Yi. The 8th year of Tianfeng, not the 18th year of Tianfeng? Yen Yi was stunned. In the 8th year of Tianfeng, the master has only been in the government for 3 years, and the master is still alive. Why are you crying? Could it be that he was really hurt? Yen Yi, please bear with me for a moment. I will take you to the doctor right now. Please bear with me. These secret guards of the Yanzi department were trained by Princess Jin. Although they were temporarily under the control of the secret guards of the Lingzi department, there was no need to inform them if anyone was injured. Yen Er returned to the secret guard camp with silent Yen Yi and immediately went out to find the doctor. Yen Yi looked at the familiar layout around him, and then he dared to believe that she was really back 10 years ago. At this time, the master was not bedridden, and the little master did not die young. Everything was still too late. Yen Yi thought about it and found the knife hidden under the pillow. He used the back of the knife to make a few marks on his calf. Hiss! She remembered that in the summer of the 8th year of Tianfeng, the master was killed by an adulterer and fell ill. The young prince was also assassinated not long after. At that time, she was sent out by King Jin to perform a mission. When she came back, everything had been settled. Now, she must find a reason for herself not to leave the house. She will definitely protect her master and little master. Yen Yi, the doctor is here. Yen Er shouted to Yen Ikai before he entered the room. Hold on. With a bang, Yen Er opened the door and walked in with the doctor in tow. Oldly, please help her see if there is something wrong with her fall. Okay. You should put me down. Tisk, just let it go. Is it so scary? How can my old bones bear this day after day? Come on, girl, stretch out your hand and let me feel your pulse. Hey, old manly, what's your pulse? She fell on her head. I saw her fall. Yen Er shouted from the side. Stay aside and don't talk. Uncle Lee, Yen Er is right. I did fall on my head, Yen Yi said with some embarrassment as he handed his hand to Mr. Lee. Really? Dr. Lee glanced sideways at the two of them and retracted his hand. Then I can't see this. I'm a doctor who specializes in treating bruises and bruises, so I can't cure this disease. Oh, Uncle Lee, it's my fault for not being careful, Yen Yi said while apologizing. Uncle Lee really wants to give me some medicine to treat bruises. She lowered her head and raised her feet, exposing her leg injury. Hey, I accidentally got hurt in the martial arts arena. Yen Yi's calf was already a large bruise, and her white skin made the marks even more terrifying. Even Yen Er and Li Longzhong were shocked. Oh, girl Yen, what did you do? Don't break your bones. I'll prepare some medicine and send it to you when I get back. You'd better not move too much in the past half month, or you'll have sequelae. Is it so serious? Yen Er frowned and looked at Yen Yi. Then what about your mission? Hey, I'll report to Ling San later, so you can rest first. Yen Er did not doubt that Yen Yi had deliberately injured himself. Everyone in him, and even the secret guard camp, had a consensus. Yen Yi was definitely the most desperate secret guard, and the one with the best chance of taking over as the leader. Of course, Yen Er and the others were right. 3 years after the death of Princess Jean, Yen Yi became the leader. Unfortunately, he was the leader of the Yanzi department. In this way, Yen Yi successfully avoided the assignment and stayed at home. After a few days of calm, Yen Yi received a communication from Princess Jean. Sister Bai, Master, what are your orders? Mo Bai glanced at Yen Yi and said, Don't worry, it's not a big deal. The princess just wants you to help her go to the temple to pray for blessings. She leaned closer to Yen Yi and added in a low voice, I know you are injured, and the lady has prepared a carriage for you. That's it. Thank you, Sister Mo Bai. Yen Yi was not pretending to be sweet to please Mo Bai. In fact, the two of them had a good relationship. She originally entered the Xie mansion with Mo Bai and others and became the young lady, the master's maid. But later, the master felt that she had some talent in martial arts, so he asked her to change her name and go to the Dark Guard camp, becoming Yen Yi. When her master married into Prince Jin's mansion, she also came to Prince Jin's mansion together with the secret guards from the Yanzi department. However, after going round and round, she has always had a good relationship with the maids around her master. After avoiding most of the servants along the way, Yen and Bai arrived at a remote attic. Go up. The princess is waiting for you above. I know. Thank you, sister. How about I bring some pearl flowers to my sister when I leave the house another day? Yen Yi joked. Okay, you're young. Don't follow the style of the secret guards in Prince Jin's mansion. Sister, don't you know about you yet? Mo Bai smiled softly. Go in by yourself. I'll guard outside. Okay. Yen Yi stopped smiling as soon as he entered the attic. Master, he is really still here. I've seen it before, Empress. Yen Yi said these 4 words very calmly, but her heart was not as calm as it seemed. Only when she saw the living Princess Jean did her sense of unreality subside. She thought, long time no see, Master. Ashu, here we come. The voice was soft and soft. Upon hearing it, one knew that the owner should be a peaceful and pampered girl. She slowly opened the bead curtain and walked out. She has pink cheeks and black hair, and although she looks sick, she still behaves elegantly. This elegantly dressed woman is Yen Yi's mistress, Princess Jean of the Toyo dynasty. Ashu, what are you looking at? Princess Jean smiled. We haven't seen her for a few days. Why is Ashu's expression so excited? Empress. Yen Yi couldn't hide the sobs in her voice. She took a step forward and knelt down to Princess Jean with a plop. If you have one look at me, I hope you will report it to your Empress. Yen buried his head. Prince Jean, he harbors evil intentions and wants to do evil to your Empress. If he does, he will attack the Xie mansion again. Princess Jean took a step back, her expression unchanged. Who told you? She asked. This. The words were choked. She really had no way to tell the princess the truth. Could it be that she could say that she only found out the truth after she died once? I forgive you that I can't tell you, but I can guarantee that everything I said is true. Otherwise, I will not die well. Yen Yi took a gamble, betting on the friendship between him and his master, who grew up together. That's all. Princess Jean sighed, and she said, I believe what you said, and I also know that King Jean is not well-intentioned. In fact, this is why I called you here today. Yen Yi was stunned. Master, do you know? Ashu, I hope you will take this far away, as far as possible. You must not be discovered by King Jin's people. Master? Yen Yi suddenly raised his head. Princess Jean did not scold Yen Yi for being disrespectful, but continued. I have prepared a carriage for you. You can pack it up this afternoon and get ready to leave. After finishing speaking, Princess Jean fell down on the soft couch as if she had exhausted all her strength. I have prepared some things for the child and you. You can take them. I'm tired. Please step back. Yes, Master. Yen Yi walked out of the attic slowly and Mo Bai came over. Is the princess asleep? Yeah. Yen Yi replied. Has the queen told you something? Although it was a question, it was in an affirmative tone. Yen Yi didn't speak, so he continued. Your Majesty has been in poor health since she arrived at Prince Jin's mansion. Now she is getting worse day by day. I rarely see her talking for so long like today. She glanced at Yen Yi and said, If your Majesty orders something, just go ahead and do it. You don't have to look forward and backward. None of us who were brought up by our Majesty are afraid of getting into trouble. After she finished speaking, she patted Yen Yi on the shoulder and said, Let's go. All you can do is do what the Empress ordered. Sister? Yen Yi looked at Ma Bai. It turned out that Ma Bai was also an insider. How many things had she missed at this time in her previous life? Yen Yi didn't waste any time. After going back and packing some things, he went to the East Pavilion to pick up the sleeping prince. He left the house and got on the carriage and walked all the way to Shuangxi Temple in the west. On the carriage, Yen Yi opened the baggage prepared for her by Princess Jean and found a letter inside, which read, Ashu Qinqi, when you take Yuanu out of the house this time, you must not contact anyone else. Take him to a small mountain village that no one knows about. It will take 5 years, at least 5 years, to come out. Don't worry, if I can escape this disaster, then I will come to find you. Ashu, I still remember that I just picked you up. You were only 5 years old. In the blink of an eye, you were already a girl in your prime. The young lady is very happy to see you growing up safely. Yuana, he is not King Jin's child. As for his father, if something unexpected happens to me, his father may come to you with a token, and you will naturally know when the time comes. This short letter made Yen Yi understand a lot of things. The biological father of the young prince was someone else, so in his previous life, the healthy young prince would die prematurely for no reason, because King Jin was unwilling to let him live. Back then, the secret guards of their Yanzi department encountered accidents one after another. One was because there was a spy inside, and the other was because the master failed. When Yen thought of this, he closed his eyes and sighed. The master who trained her always said that she was too naive and difficult to carve. Now it seems that it is not an angry comment. She is more than naive. She has been with her master since she was a child, but she doesn't even know these things. When it got dark, they finally arrived at Shuangxi Temple. Yen Yi got out of the car with the little prince in his arms. The little prince had just turned 6 years old, So he was born prematurely more than half a year after his master entered the palace. This was a bit strange, but she never thought much about it at the beginning. Suddenly knowing so much inside information, Yan Yi couldn't help but doubt himself. Girl, this Shuangxi temple has never allowed pilgrims to stay overnight except those praying for blessings. So we will send the girl here. After the prayers are over, we will pick her up again. The driver smiled apologetically at Yan Yi. After receiving Yan Yi's nod, he turned the carriage and left with a few maids and women who were originally following him. The only message left was that Yi and the young prince were where they were. Yan Yi thought about it and knocked on the door of Shuangxi Temple. Her master asked her to come to Shuangxi Temple to pray. She must have a reason. Besides, she also hoped to pray for her master. Chapter 2, Shuangxi Temple, Fire and Night Escape. The female donor can rest here. A monk brought Yan Yi to the guest room. Master Song will pray for the young prince tomorrow. Yan Yi responded and entered the guest room. The night was getting darker, and the young prince slowly woke up. Sister Yan Yi? The child rubbed his eyes. Where is the mother-in-law? My young master. My master is busy with her own affairs and cannot accompany you for the time being. Yan Yi knelt down and said to the young prince with a hint of apology on his face. She hasn't had much contact with such an old child. I know we won't go back to the palace again, right? He asked. My mother told me that one day when I wake up and only see Sister Yan Yi alone, it means we are leaving. Yan Yi didn't expect that the young prince already knew. Yes. She sighed and returned, but we will come back in the future. She reached out and hugged the young prince. Before this, my sister will take good care of you. Yeah. The child hugged her back. Then, do you want to eat something? Yan Yi asked cautiously. Well, thank you, Sister Yan Yi. Yan Yi gave him some refreshments brought from the mansion, and Liang Yuan, the younger prince, ate some with the water he brought. Yan Yixi only drank 2 sips of the tea on the table. When she left in the afternoon, she ate something and was still not hungry. Sister, you go to sleep first. I won't run around. The bright moon rose into the sky, and it was already very late. Okay. Yan Yi responded and prepared to go to sleep. She did feel a little sleepy. She is now nearly 16 years old. Her body is still growing, and her martial arts skills are not as good as they would be 10 years later. If she doesn't take a good rest, she may not be able to take care of the young prince in the rest of the journey. Midnight. Sister, wake up. Yan Yi was in a daze when she suddenly heard someone calling her. It was the young prince? What's wrong? Little. Yan Yi raised his eyes and saw that there were faint flames flickering outside. Several rooms opposite were on fire. Hiss! Yan Yi immediately got up, wrapped the 2 bundles on the pillow, and got out of bed. Why did she sleep so soundly? She protected Liang Yuan and looked out through the crack in the door. What was strange was that the house was so hot that a small area of the sky was reflected red, but there was not even a single person to put out the fire. Yan suddenly felt horrified. She looked at the young prince and said, "Don't be afraid. Let's go out quietly. I will protect you." The child nodded and tightened Yan Yi's clothes. He was very scared. "Let's go," Yan Yi whispered, then pushed the door open with the young prince. There was no one outside the door. They walked all the way outside the dormitory and didn't see anyone. Yan Yi did not let down his guard. Sure enough, as soon as they left the dormitory, they saw several figures sneakily guarding outside. The few people dressed as monks were shocked when they saw the 2 of them, as if they didn't expect them to come out intact. Upon seeing this, Yan hid the young prince in a bush behind him and went to greet him. Before those people could react, they were put down by Yan Yiji's feet. "Let's go." Yan picked up the young prince and prepared to run. "Sister, wait a minute," the child said. "There is someone lying in the bush over there." He pointed with his hand. "Looks like a child." Hearing this, Yan Yi paused and said, "Child." Yan Yi hugged the young prince and quickly stepped forward to take a look. Indeed, there was a vague figure in the bushes. In the light of the fire, he could vaguely tell that he was a small child. Yen Yi didn't say anything, but the young prince spoke. Sister, take him with you. Just now, he told me that he can take us out. Go out. Yen Yi was stunned for a moment, then realized, indeed, if they run out now, first of all, they are not familiar with the terrain of the temple, and they don't know how many people are surrounding them outside. If there is someone familiar with the terrain at this time, it will be much easier for them. Yen Yi was not worried that this person would lie to them. After all, she could still take care of a child who looked about the same age as the crown prince. Okay, Yen Yi answered the young prince's words, raised his feet, and walked over. She lifted the child up with one hand. Huh? Passed out. As soon as she got closer, she found that the child was seriously injured, and there was a smell of blood lingering on his body. Yen Yi held the person in his left hand and shook it, while still holding the young prince in his right hand. Are you awake? If you don't wake up, I'll leave you here. She couldn't protect the young prince while also carrying an unconscious person. Cough, cough, cough. The child probably had a particularly strong desire to survive, and he was actually woken up by Yen Yi. Are you awake? Yen Yi didn't care about the man's weakness at all. She asked, do you think there is a way to take us out? Yes, go west, you can go out. The child said intermittently. Sure. Yen Yi responded, turned his head and said softly to the young prince, let's go west. Yeah. Liang Yuan responded, and Yen Yi picked up the two children and left. Passing by those people dressed as monks, Yen Yi thought for a moment and kicked the two of them into the yard in front of the dormitory. She thought that if the fire really burned down the entire dormitory, then it would give an explanation to those who wanted to kill them. After all, you want to see people in life, and you want to see corpses in death. Liang Yuan saw Yen Yi's actions, but didn't say anything. He knew that since his mother chose Sister Yen Yi, it proved that she must be loyal to her mother, and she would not harm him. Yen Yi walked quickly westward, and easily solved a few people blocking the road. After a while, he arrived at a river. There is no way, she thought. There were faint voices coming from behind, and she didn't pay attention to the noise she made along the way. There must be many people who know her direction. No, someone is chasing her now. Yen didn't panic when she arrived. She discovered along the way that the people who intercepted them didn't have very high martial arts skills, so she could handle them. But she turned her head and shook the silent man in her hand. Don't pretend to be dead. Is this the way out you said? Before she finished speaking, she made a move to throw the man into the river. Don't throw it away. There is a boat in the grass going down the river. Cough, cough, cough. You can go out. Even though he was panicking, he did not dare to move. He had found the way, but he was afraid that he would cross the river and burn the bridge. As soon as Yen heard this, he looked into the weeds that were almost half a person tall and was shocked to find that there was indeed a small boat. How can there be a boat here? How did this person know? Yen Yi glanced at the half-dead boy on his left hand. This is really strange. Yen Yi felt strange, but said nothing more. She approached the boat and threw the boy she was holding in her left hand up. After a few minutes, seeing that there was no movement on the boat, Yen Yi hugged the young prince and kicked the boat into the water before getting on board. The things on the boat are quite complete. Yen Yi entered the cabin, looked around, put the young prince down and settled him down, lit the oil lamp on the low table, and picked up the boy who had just been thrown in the bow of the boat, then picked up the bamboo pennon on the bow and put it into the water. The fire gradually dimmed, but Yen Yi and his party were already far away. After the boat slowly sailed out of the temple, Yen Yi relaxed his nerves and began to review. First of all, there must be something wrong with her sleeping so deeply. Although her strength now is not as good as 10 years later, as a secret guard, she should be vigilant, and there is no way she could lose it. Yen Yi sat on the bow of the boat and recalled carefully that she had relaxed her vigilance since entering the temple, as if she believed from the bottom of her heart that there would be no threat here. Sister Yen Yi, Liang Yuan ran out of the cabin. That man seems to be dying. I can't wake him up. Liang Yuan reached out and pulled her into the cabin. Sister, come and take a look. Yan Yi followed the young prince and walked into the cabin. As soon as he bent down and entered the cabin, he saw the man lying there motionless. The situation did look a bit bad. Chapter 3 on the ship, Inquiries and Whereabouts. Yudeo's luck has not been very good in the past few months. First, he offended his eldest brother and was punished by his father. He ran out to patrol. Then he was framed by thieves and lived in a neighboring country. He finally made it to the capital of Toyoto, but accidentally exposed his identity. He was hidden in a temple by a few people who didn't know what they were doing. He tried to escape and was seriously injured. After finally running out, I met an unreasonable female Rakshasa again. TSK, my dear father, I probably won't be able to see you in person again in this life. Yudao was feeling drowsily sad for himself when he heard a voice saying, why isn't he awake yet? I don't know. It was another boy's voice. It looks like you still want me to hit him a few times, right? Yudao was shocked. Are you going to hit him again? He faintly felt a little wind and thought to himself, the wind from this palm was so strong. How could it really hit him in the face? He was so frightened that he opened his eyes and shouted, don't fight, don't fight, don't fight. Huh. After waking up, Yan Yi didn't even raise his hand when he heard his howl and hiss. He was so frightened. Yan Yi thought about it without feeling any guilt in his heart. In fact, if you take a closer look, this little boy looks pretty good. If he had been cleaned, he would have looked like a polished boy. I don't know why he fell miserably in front of the dormitory door. As soon as Yudao opened his eyes, he saw 2 people guarding his bed. The older one was about 10 years old. He was a man with a somewhat feminine look. The smaller one looks very handsome, like a young master from some family. Who are you? Yudao shrank into the bed. Where's this? Don't remember? Yan Yi frowned. We were on a boat. Did you discover this boat, kid? On the boat. By the way, he asked for help from the person passing by the bushes. That person, huh? Is the person who keeps asking rude questions the same boy as he looks like a girl? Tisk, it's true that people can't be judged by their appearance. Yudao muttered in his heart, but did not show it on his face. He raised a smile and stood up. Thank you for your help, sir. Master? Yan Yi and Liang Yuan looked at each other, and Liang Yuan spoke. Little brother, this is my sister.